You won't believe the trouble we had trying to exchange a simple £50 note. But don't worry, there's a full explanation coming at the end, so make sure you stick around. So welcome back, I'm the Black Belt Barrister, helping you to understand law. In this video, a bit of a gripe about exchanging £50 notes. Now, we got stuck with these things because we sold some old baby furniture, and the guy that turned up only had £50 notes, the old kind, or they will be old from the 30th of September, which is this Friday. And we had these sitting around for ages because we didn't like to use them, because when we take them out, nowhere like to take them. Which is a point about legal tender, which is another legal tidbit that's going to come a little bit later in this video that most people misunderstand. But first, as to our frustrations trying to change this note. So we heard in the news that these paper notes are going to be withdrawn from circulation from the 30th of September. That's this Friday. They look a little bit like this, and they are being replaced with the polymer ones, which look a little bit like this. So obviously, as you saw on screen, that's both the £20 note and the £50 notes. The paper versions are being withdrawn. They will no longer be legal tender as of this Friday, the 30th of September. So first of all, we thought, what better place than to take these notes than our bank? Because most banks should really take notes from you and deposit them into your account. However, the bank that we bank with said that they no longer have a cash counter. Therefore, we can't deposit them at the bank because they have no cash counter. They suggested instead that we go to the post office to deposit it there. So we went to the local post office at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, only to find a note on the door to say that they'd closed at midday. So a couple of days later, we went back before midday, you guessed it, to find a note on the door to say that they didn't open until midday. So we thought again. Then we took it to a major supermarket, without naming and shaming names here. We took it to a large supermarket that we thought would help and asked if they might change it for some other notes or some coins perhaps. Initially, they said their policy was not to exchange notes, which is sort of fair enough. However, doing everything that they can to help, decided that they were going to exchange it for us until some other nice fellow walked along and said, no, we shouldn't be doing that. So then they refused to do it. So then we said, well, what if we were going to pay for something and we wanted to use this £50 note to pay for it in said supermarket that does everything that they can to help? Well, in that scenario, they said the tills didn't have the facility to check whether it was a genuine £50 note or not. Only the tobacco counter had the facility to check. But they only sold tobacco and scratch cards, and they said that they wouldn't sell us anything else that wasn't from that counter. We said, well, how are we going to use this £50 note at any other till if you're the only one that can check it, but you won't sell us anything else unless it's from your counter, which is the tobacco counter, and we don't smoke, so we certainly don't want any of that. They said, well, okay, just this once, we'll allow you to buy something from somewhere else, bring it to this till, and we will check that it's a real £50 note, and then we'll give you change for it. So finally, we managed to get rid of this £50 note, which will be next to useless after this Friday. Not technically useless, because the Bank of England will always take them back, but that does mean a trek into London to the Bank of England to get it exchanged for one that is actually in circulation. So here comes a little bit of the legal trivia that people think, yes, but it's legal tender, you must take it. But that's not true, because the shop can choose whatever payment method they want to accept. And if they choose not to accept a £50 note, they do not have to accept a £50 note. Now, some people in previous videos, mainly on TikTok because it's a little bit more argumentative over there, some people said, no, that's not true. They absolutely must take this £50 note because it's legal tender and they can't refuse legal tender. But as I said, that's not true. Legal tender is only that which is used to settle a debt, and it can be paid into court as the defence of prior payment if someone tries to sue you and you pay the money into court as legal tender in defence of the claim. But that is absolutely not to say that the shop must accept your £50 note if they choose not to. So even if you've already, let's say, put fuel in your car and you try to pay with a £50 note and they say, no, we don't accept that, we want something else, you need to find another method of payment, whether that's a card, other coins or cash, or even agreeing with them that you'll pay within so many days if they allow that to happen. But rest assured, making off from a petrol station without having paid is a specific offence under the Theft Act, the offence of making off without payment, where payment is required on the spot. This does give rise to the difficult situation of how do you know whether or not they're going to accept £50 notes? Well, that's just it. It's a difficult situation that you have to deal with. But either way, if you want to avoid this whole debacle of of what do you do with this £50 note or £20 note if it's a paper £20 note. That will be just as useless after Friday of this week, unless of course you take it to the Bank of England, which does mean a trek to London to get it exchanged there. You need to find somewhere that is going to accept or exchange these £20 and £50 notes that you see on screen right now. It might be your bank, but as I say, in our case, the bank didn't have a cash counter, so we couldn't. It might be the post office, but as in our experience, they were playing opening times roulette with us, and we didn't catch them open 3 days in a row. But either way, do yourselves a favour, check your wallets, check behind the sofa, check your old bags, your old wallets, your old coats. If you've got any of these paper notes floating around anywhere, you need to find some way of getting rid of them before this Friday. Otherwise, you've got a trip to the Bank of England in London. But anyway, I hope that was a useful warning to you. Please do share this with somebody that you know is going to have at least one of these £20 notes stuffed in a wallet somewhere. Please like the video in appreciation. I always appreciate that. And please do subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to hit 250,000 subscribers. That is 1/4 of the way to my goal to helping 1 million people just like you. Thanks for watching.